Ninth Duke of Kingsland, was most certainly not that man. Yet Penelope Pettipiece had managed to fall in love with him all the same. Drat her impractical heart. He'd never encouraged her deeper affections, and she hadn't realized she harbored them until he'd called out another lady's name, and the words had struck her like a blow to the chest. As a matter of fact, it had been somewhat of a surprise to realize her depth of feelings for the man. Perhaps it was the trust he placed in her to see to his business affairs when he was away. He often travelled in pursuit of investment opportunities, a singular purpose to his life that left him with little time for other endeavours, such as a proper courtship. He was responsible for 4 estates, the Dukedom, 2 earldoms, and a viscounty, as well as the welfare of those who were dependent upon them for their livelihood. Until she'd come to work for him, she'd always considered the aristocracy a spoiled and lazy lot, but he had shown her the truth of the matter. Their obligations often fell heavy upon them. Her respect for him knew no bounds, and her heart had followed. "Miss Pettipiece, what the devil is it?" She jerked up her head to glare at the poor footman who had interrupted her. Then she felt contrite for having done so, because his eyes had widened in astonishment and reflected a touch of horror, like someone who had come upon a large, hideous spider and realized too late that it had taken exception to being disturbed while weaving its web. "My apologies, Harry. How may I be of assistance?" "His Grace just rang for you, from the library." "Thank you. I'll be there in a tick." "Very good, miss." As he immediately and quietly took his leave, she set aside the letter that had listed a host of talents, playing the pianoforte, singing, croquet, and fencing. That was a skill no one else had claimed thus far, would require the addition of another column, and might result in injury to the Duke when the woman discovered he had no time to enjoy any of her proficiencies. Snatching up a paperweight of black marble, upon which had been carved and embossed in gold, "The early bird catches the worm," a gift from the Duke after she'd been with him for a year, she set it on top of the letter to indicate she had not yet finished considering its author as a potential Duchess. After shoving back her chair, she stood, patting her hair as she did so, to ensure no wisps had escaped the no-nonsense bun. She made complete use of every minute of every day, doing a multitude of things concurrently whenever possible. Satisfied with her appearance, without even going to the trouble to look in a mirror, she began marching toward her destination, along the corridor that led to the kitchens, past the wall upon which hung the parallel line of bells, one for the regular staff, one for her, marking the rooms in which a bell-pull had been tugged, past the staircase leading to her small bedchamber in the servants' quarters. Then onward, along another hallway to the weathered stairs used by footmen to serve a meal, the butler to answer the front door, the maid who saw to the needs of the Dowager Duchess when she was in residence, and the valet who tended to the Duke. Stairs she was allowed to traverse to the main portion of the residence, because she also tended to the Duke, although not in a manner as personal as the valet. Still, she would argue her duties were much more important, as would the entire household staff, no doubt, because her presence kept things sailing on an even keel. Not once had the butler objected to her handling the Duke when his Grace was in a foul mood. She'd have preferred her study nearer to where he worked, but he'd never asked her preference. Unfortunately, he would probably never do the same of his wife, either. His focus was narrow, seldom venturing beyond the empire he'd built. The man cared about little more than making money and securing success at any cost. But the shrewdness, skill, and ruthlessness with which he managed his business affairs